Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I've listened to the debate and the comments that have been made and raising valid issues and valid concerns. But I want to put it in perspective here. We had the conversation 2 years ago and passed a bill to create the opportunity for the two tribes to come together because there was a business being built across our border that was going to potentially impact the revenue to the state and the jobs in this state. And I want to review for the process that we debated 2 years ago and then tasked the tribes to do, particularly for the new members who were not here at that time or may have not been following it. But we essentially told the two tribes, come together. They're not business partners before this. They didn't work together predominantly on any business venture. They come from two basic cultures. Yes, they're two Indian tribes, but they're different cultures. There's different decisions that they make. And they came together. They formed a partnership. The Mashantucket Pequots and the Mohegans. They registered a business with the Secretary of State. And then they proceeded to work through the building of a relationship together and a plan and working together towards what we told them to do. And in that process, we told them to issue an RFP and essentially authorize them to go out and canvass the towns in the target area, which was predominantly north of Hartford, and seek out a town that is willing to enter into an agreement. And part of that RFP, we had to give a description of the entity's needs for the casino, and then that RFP had to be submitted to the Department of Consumer Protection. And it had to be posted on the internet so everybody could see. So for those that wanted transparency, it's the ultimate in transparency. Everybody in the world could see the RFP that was being offered. In the end, as I recall, there were about 5 towns that ended up in the final agreement, as well as the airport. And they all went through a competitive process and negotiation with the tribal partnership. And in the end, East Windsor was the town that closed the deal. And I say close the deal because this is about business. This is a business negotiation. And unfortunately, it's wrapped up into politics. But make no mistake, this is a business negotiation. And for those that think that only the tribe is benefit, the two tribes would benefit from this, we have to understand that when you enter into a business negotiation, you must understand what the do-nothing proposition is. If we take no action, what are the consequences? For the state of Connecticut, it's estimated anywhere from $70 to $100 million in revenue will be lost if MGM opened and the tribes were not allowed to build a third casino. In addition, and for those that have not seen it, there's a study by Dr. Clyde Barrow, who is an internationally renowned expert in gaming, that estimates 9,300 jobs. And where that comes from is approximately 5,000 direct jobs and 4,300 indirect jobs. And you might ask, well, what does that mean? Where are those jobs? Are they all in southeastern Connecticut? Well, they're not. Most of this state is involved in one fashion or another, whether it be employees or it be businesses that support the two tribes in their gaming entity in southeastern Connecticut. And so we've heard about the Attorney General's response to the governor's questions. And it's important that you don't jump to the conclusion. If you've read research papers and you jump to the last page, you look at the conclusions, you say, I like the conclusions, therefore I'm going to cite this report, but you don't look at how they came to that conclusion. The premise of the research may be flawed. And what you have to understand is the Attorney General can only be responsive to the questions that the governor asked. And so you have to go to the questions that the governor asked to understand what the answers mean. And then there was discussion of one of the answers to the questions was that even if it was the tribes who built a casino off that would potentially invalidate and void the compact and put at risk the revenue that comes from slots. And as also stated, there was a letter that came out from BIA after the Attorney General made his responses to the governor's questions. And in that letter, while it is not binding, it indicated that the BIA has never unilaterally reviewed compacts. The tribes have also indicated they have no interest in having another review of the compact and the agreement that has been made on the revenue. And then the Attorney General has agreed that once again, while not binding, was informative. To bolster that, the tribe's leadership has come in to representatives in this chamber and the other chamber and made the commitment to honor the agreement that they have honored for the last 25 years. Now, for those that are concerned about a constitutional challenge or any other consequence of this deal, that is part of doing business. And if I was in the MGM's position, I would do that. I would challenge the agreement. That's a part of doing business. But once again, I remind you, if we do nothing, the court case will not be brought, but we put revenue and jobs in the state of Connecticut at risk. And for those that have argued that, once again, the transparency and openness, I would argue this is one of the most open processes we've had. It's been reported on in the paper. The RFP, as I stated, was on the internet. We've had many public hearings. We've heard from representatives of towns that chose not to partake in the agreement with the tribes, and they also had open discussion. So I think if we look at the partnership that we've had with the two tribes, and in the district that I represent, both casinos happen to be in that district. My town of Ledyard went through the growing pains of having a casino open, and they've been great partners over time. We built that relationship over time, and they are good partners. And I foresee that learning curve that we learned in southeastern Connecticut, that when they go up to East Windsor and build there, they've already learned those lessons in how to be good partners with those towns. And I believe firmly that no matter what issue may arise, they will continue to be good partners and work with the town to resolve them to the best of both tribes, because it's in their interest to do that. And given all that, I believe it is in the best interest of the state of Connecticut, which is who we represent. And with that, I urge all of my colleagues here to support this agreement and move forward, allowing the two tribes who have come together and have been good partners for the last 25 years to continue in that relationship and continue to grow in our state. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.